What's up, everybody? I'm Frankfurter, that's Magically Average, and today we're going to talk about what anime should have had different endings, in our opinion, anyways. There are a lot of anime that come out, a lot of them don't end. But for the ones that do end, some of them are really, really good, and some of them just flat out suck.
Stinky. They're bad.
They are bad, stinky doo doo. Oh no. But we're going to go through a list, and I think we're going to go through a few different categories of which it's just like this is just straight up burned into my skull because it's such a bad ending compared to like this was open ended. It kind of was bad because it was open ended, but it wasn't overall terrible. And then just things that we don't even remember. Like we watched it all, but we don't remember any fucking thing about the ending.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of shows like that. I feel like for me
I
that
feel like
all have. I don't know.
like every anime like that is for me. I have such a short term when it comes to anime. But there's like not even a show last season that I could tell you what the ending was. My brain
Hell's
just
Paradise?
flatlines. I mean, Hell's Paradise, yeah, kind of, I guess. I can't tell you what exactly happened though. My brain just goes to the last fight, honestly. Oh, I remember where it ends. Okay. But
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, my brain just picks like one scene from an anime and it's like that scene was fucking cool, and then I'm like, okay, well, what happened after it? It's like,
I don't
but
know.
that scene, and I'm like, I get it, but move on. He's like, no, I must hold on to it, treasure it. That is the only thing you'll remember from this anime. And I'm like, oh no. Like I think for more than half of my anime in the list, I had to go back and rewatch the endings to be like, what the hell did happen?
Yeah, I did that for a couple. The first one or actually, I only did that for one because I didn't have a lot of time. The one I did it for was Occultic 9. It was a show that I actually really enjoyed, and I only just recently found out that it's already done. It's ended. It's done. But it's the season ends so open-endedly that it's like there could definitely be more content for this show. There could be more for this series and continuing this strange, weird series that I feel like nobody in my circle of friends has ever watched, let alone even heard of.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, to me, Occultic 9, it just ended like really open-endedly. The protagonist, it's kind of a weird sci-fi, not spooky, but supernatural type show where character is just trying to go to supernatural sites and like make news about it in order to promote like a website to make money essentially, like, and he's just like this high school kid, and then he really stumbles into some shit and basically figures out how to like at the very end use kind of like weird psychic powers, and then it just abruptly kind of ends if like all of his friends sitting at the restaurant that it starts in talking about just stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, the website updated. Oh, it's one new update. Oh, he's still trying to get money," and then it just ends.
Hmm.
And it's just like, but like he just got like psychic powers and such. Like he just got powers. Like, dude, what? I want to see that. It's just so unfortunate that it just ended like that because I definitely thought like maybe one day there will be a second season, or like maybe there will be more light novels to where it'll get more manga and then we can see, get a second season. But no, it's just straight up over. So
That's
really
yeah.
unfortunate, but it is what it is.
A few of mine are like that. I think my two top ones on my list are similar. One of them being Dead Man Wonderland, because I haven't read the manga. I know through people that have that there is a lot of source material that they could make a second season at least. I don't know if it would be a full season, but they, where they end the anime is very like unsatisfying. It sort of just ends at what you feel like is almost the climactic point, but like there's no downturn period. It like just ends on this huge high, and you're like, but more. Like, and spoiler ahead, I'm not gonna remember most of the main characters or any characters' names from the anime I'm going through, so everyone can fuck off. You're like, you don't really like it. You can't remember shit. Listen, it's been a while. I have watched Dead Man Wonderland, I think like 3 or 4 times, but I still can't remember the characters' names. But basically, like, main character finally gets a handle on his blood art, and like defeats one of the stronger people that are in the prison, and then alongside the girl who's got this weird fucking like scientific baby egg random bullshit similar to like the songbird from BioShock Infinite craziness going on with her, and you're like, oh, that's so sweet, what's gonna happen? And then they just end it with them on the rooftop being like, it's weird that this guy also knew the song that plays when you're around. And you're like, it is weird. Are you gonna resolve that? And then it's just credits, and you're like, no, no, God, no. Like,
Yeah,
that one was so unfortunate because there's so many unanswered questions, and they're like, they tease you at the very end with like getting so close to answering some, but they're like, but it's over, and you're like,
yeah.
you have to make up all this shit on your own. Like they don't actually reveal who in fact murdered the entire spoilers for the show too if you haven't seen it. They don't actually reveal who murdered the entire class. It's just assumed that it's the girl. They don't actually go into detail like on the girl's past and her, I think she calls the gentleman like Papa or something. It's very like Stranger Things-esque with 11. And then they don't go into like more of the blood art stuff and yada yada yada. And I'm like, man, what a cool show, and just what a absolute doggy doo-doo ending to it. With no foreseeable season 2 either.
Yeah, it looks like this is one of those, hey, we caught up, not necessarily caught up to the anime or manga, but the TV show came out in 2011. The manga ended in 2013. So it was one of those things of like, we could have continued, but the manga isn't quite finished yet. Or like this, I feel like 2011 was really the time period of it got a season 1, but the manga hasn't ended. So we're not going to give it a season 2. And by the time the manga ended, 2 years later
Everyone
or so,
forgot.
it's just, yeah, it's like, no, there's no hype for this. It's fine, just move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched Dead Man Wonderland probably close to a decade ago. I don't remember a goddamn thing.
Oh, I remember one scene in particular that was, mind you, I was watching the dubbed when I had watched it, and the words that came out of this one character's mouth disgusted me so much that I wanted to go clean my own mouth with soap. The vial that she spewed, I was like, good God, how did that pass all of the checks before making it to fucking publication? They're like, yeah, no, that's good. I wish I remember the line. It was basically like this girl was goading the character to attack her and being like, you couldn't even get hard if you were jacking off to your grandfather's ashes mixed with formaldehyde or something. And I'm like, holy fucking shit.
Wowie wow.
I was like, all right, I don't know. I guess I know what I'm getting myself into with this one. Oh boy.
Yeah, but I think there was really one other show that kind of, to me, it's a series I love. I watched it after I read it, and it was one of those, it caught up to the source material, and it couldn't go on, so they never got a second season, and that was Claymore. Claymore, to me, it is such a great series, while the ending of the manga is a bit like, it's a bit odd. It is a bit odd. It does jump a little bit of a shark, but it's still pretty fucking badass overall. And they ended it like halfway through the series because they had caught up to the manga, never got a second season, which is really unfortunate because that property is super cool. And I feel like a lot of new anime and manga fans are like rereading Berserk and those type of stories. And I feel like Claymore is up there, not necessarily up there with like the cinematics, but with the storytelling, because it is a very good story. It's, I don't know, to me it's kind of a disappointing that like it just ended right at like a climactic point in the series, and it's just like, okay, bye. we're not going to return however many years later to give you seconds.
Ugh.
So to me, it's just one of those like, I want another one.
Yeah.
But for shows that like are legitimately have a bad ending, As much as I absolutely 100% loved this show, gave it a 10 out of 10 on Mal, etc., Neon Genesis Evangelion, the original Neon Genesis Evangelion, that ending is a goddamn what in the fuck is this bullshit. It really is. You cannot look at me straight and just say, yes, I think it was brilliant. No, it's a fucking fever dream. It is what it is. I still love the series. I still give it a 10. It's such a fucking bonkers weird ending that came out of left field that is just like, why? Why? And then, you go on to rectify it with the, movies and whatnot, which is fine. But the original TV show is such a just like, what is this ending? Why? What am I watching? Congratulations. Like,
Congratulations.
it is so trippy. But I still love the series nonetheless. But yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion, legitimately the original series, has a fucking weird ass ending.
So I guess it's hard for me to categorize the endings for these because in my opinion, they're all bad. They're all dog shit, but they're all bad in different ways. Because like Dead Man Wonderland's ending is literally just like we've hit the peak and like there's no conclusion to it. There's no finality. So it feels like it's not the end of the season. It's just forced to be, which is very unfortunate, but still a bad ending.
Right.
Soul Eater is another one in my opinion that I have on my list too, where like the ending though is legit just like ass. It's bad. It's not good. Anyone who watches Soul Eater and can tell me that the ending is good, I'm like, you haven't watched Soul Eater recently. Go rewatch it because it's not good. And I have rewatched Soul Eater recently with my wife, and I kept getting all these like feelings rushing back, like, oh my gosh, I remember these fight scenes. I remember this character, and holy shit, I can't believe we're getting to the point. And when they finally get to the quote unquote final boss, the main character Maki defeats him with bravery. Not the action, the word bravery. And it boggles the dude's mind so much that he goes insane and then gets killed in one hit. Like that's how bad that ending is. Like I remember watching it with my wife and being like, I had like all those positive emotions, and then like I saw the last episode start and I'm like, oh god, and all the dread came back in. Like I gotta watch this shit again. No.
Oh no.
Oh man, that ending is garbage. And again, it's one of those ones where I believe you can back me up on this, even though you have not watched the anime, that the manga does go beyond where the anime ends. I think the manga extends pretty far.
So I don't know where the anime ends, to be completely honest. I don't know what final boss you're talking about, because right now I'm reading the perfect editions as they come out, and I think edition 10 or 11 is where it's at right now. I think 10. But
yeah.
I have no fucking clue about the Soul Eater one. I know I've heard just through everybody that the ending is absolute dog shit, that I'm just like, cool. I don't need to watch this. This is fine.
Yeah.
I'll just read it as it's coming out in these nice little hardback books. I'm actually really thoroughly enjoying the books. I think the anime is still past where I'm at, which was Arachne, however you pronounce her name. Her castle. I just finished, like, wrapped up that arc. So I don't know how far the anime goes past that.
Maybe there is no source material. I thought I heard from people similar to Dead Man Wonderland that there was more source material with Soul Eater, but I very much could be wrong.
No, there is more source material because Soul Eater did the thing of it caught up to the manga, did an original ending, and the original ending was shit.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the manga and the anime meet.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
So can't really attest to that one. I just heard so many bad things about the anime that I'm just like, cool. I don't need to watch this. It's fine.
Yeah. Another bad one though for me though, real quick, because again, it falls into the bucket of like really really good, but has an absolute horrendous ending. And this one, honestly, it feels so bad. It feels so bad because it was in my mind, one of the best news stories to come out in such a long time. And then it it didn't even trip at the end. It like, did you ever watch the movie World War Z?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the scene where the guy that has the antidote like slips and falls and shoots himself? That's what happened with this anime. The anime was going towards the finish line triumphantly, like arms in the air, like the Glico man, and slip, falls, the gun falls out of their pocket, goes in their mouth and shoots them, and then dies like inches from the finish line. That's how bad this ending was. Can you guess which ending it is?
I forgot all about that. I honestly forgot all about that.
Oh, that scene from World War Z?
Yes, I did. I just had a flashback of, like, from this goddamn Vietnam of just like, oh my god.
That scene was so goofy.
Yeah.
Do you know which ending I'm talking about though?
Oh,
or what
are
anime?
You talking about Wonder Egg?
Yes, I am. Wonder Egg Priority.
I never watched the last episode, so
I know
it's still
you did.
good in my opinion.
You're safe. You're like a sheltered little child. You can stay in your little bubble boy. Be safe there, because the ending was awful. And the really shitty part too was, for anyone who doesn't know, the ending was delayed due to scheduling errors. So like there was an episode in between that was like a recap basically of everything, and everyone.
It wasn't a scheduling error. They had overworked the studio, and the studio couldn't catch up, so they needed a week to.
No, because there was at least 3 months later.
No, I know. The reason why they had to put that filler episode in of the recap is because the studio couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up with the show itself, and because they were overworking everybody, etc. Yes.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And they literally were like, we can't put out a new episode this week. So they put out a middle episode, like a recap episode. And then because of scheduling, because everybody's got their TV slots months out in advance, they couldn't book one until June, 3 months later. So they're like, cool, we have 3 months to work on the last episode. And they
spent 3 months doing nothing.
Just fucking whiffed it. So yeah, that's why it came out so late. It's pretty well documented, if I remember correctly, that the people it was so bad with crunch.
And they didn't even just whiff it too, because the ending doesn't do anything. It literally offers nothing to the story at all.
Yeah.
It made the whole anime feel like this weird hallucination that you just had. Because the ending started to like bring up shit that you were like, that didn't happen, or like, who the hell are you? And then it's just like, you got to deal with it. You're like, oh, okay. And then it's like, by the way, this character is doing this, and you're like, why? And they're like, just deal with it because they want to. And you're like, okay. And they're like, yeah. And that other character that you thought was going to be important, nah, we're all Gucci now, no issues. Big ups. Bye. And you're like,
high five.
What the fuck just happened? Like, if you watch Wonder Egg Priority, I insist that you watch the ending. But if you love it, if you truly adore it, stop it before the ending.
Just watch the second to last episode where the actual season ends.
Right. Just watch to where you feel like it would be a nice stopping point, because the ending is not even that. It's not even a stopping point. Like it's not even the type of ending either that you could look at and be like, okay, yeah, I can see this getting a second season. It's the ending that's like, we have no idea what we just wrote this year. We have no clue what this is. And they just pulled the fucking janitor to be like, hey, I need you to binge watch this at like 3 times speed and come up with an ending. Go. And they're like, okay. The woman in fucking tank submerged comes out, goes in brain hole, controls everyone. Other girl tries to stop suicide. And then that was that ending. That was it. It was so bad. It was
I think
so bad.
it was an original show. I wish they would have just left it like semi-open ended for like a second season.
They found an original ending to ruin an original way to ruin it too.
Yeah. Speaking of original ending to ruin a show, we're going to talk about possibly the absolute tragedy that is the worst ending in anime of all fucking time. I have brought this show up many a time on this podcast. It is forever the fucking worst. It is one of 2 shows or seasons on Mal that I have rated at a 1.
Is it Tomodachi?
No, it is not Tomodachi.
Oh.
That is the other that is the other 1 out of 10 I've given on Mal.
Oh God. And you gave it a 1?
A 1 out of 10. There was absolutely almost nothing redeemable about it. If I could give it a 0, I would.
I don't know.
That is The Promised Neverland season 2.
Oh. But that's an example of an entire season being bad.
It wasn't just the season. The ending was an absolute fuck fest of a tragedy.
Because I refused to watch it. Wasn't the ending just like basically a photo album of things shooting across the screen?
Yes and no. So they skip multiple arcs throughout season 2, which is also a tragedy because the Goldie arc,
that's a solid decision always to just skip arcs.
Yeah. They arguably skipped the best arc in Goldie Pond, which is a tragedy, but they skipped arcs and then they ended it where...
Real quick. Do you mean to say travesty?
Yeah, travesty.
As opposed to tragedy?
No, not tragedy. Travesty.
But you're saying tragedy, like a tragedy travesty.
No one's ever corrected me before, so yeah.
Ever? Wait, hang on. This is deeper discussion.
Yeah, no, nobody's ever corrected me on that. So yeah.
So you said tragedy.
Yeah, multiple times in my life.
And no one's thought to maybe just sit you down and have it. Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Anyways, so it does go flow semi with what the manga does, and this is spoilers for season 2 and why it's so bad. The mother, who is still very much alive, even though she fucked up and lost all the children from the farm, and all the other sisters or moms and whatever are like, they've cornered the kids, and then the president of whatever fucking the farm is like, good work, and then they betrayed the guy, and then they're like, make a run for it to the exit because you know where the exit, and they're like, no, we semi a shootout, and then the kids just all leave. And then Emma is like, nope, I'm going to stay behind, because that does happen in the manga. She's like, I'm going to stay behind to make sure that everything's fine on this end and that nobody follows us. And like, because basically one of the characters in the show is a demon, and her blood, if it's ingested by other demons, don't have to eat humans. Basically, in this world, demons have to eat humans in order to keep their form. Otherwise, they become basically piles of mush. So... basically, she just is like, hey, like, and the higher up demons are, because we want to keep having the farms and make money, capitalism, yay, baby.
Woo!
And basically, they take a entire war and meeting literal fucking god of this goddamn universe and just turns it into a slideshow. They take the war, they take meeting God, they take the overthrow of the kingdom, they take everything and make it a slideshow, and then they don't even do the whole original ending. Basically, the promise that Emma makes with God, I guess I'm not going to spoil the manga, but basically, like, the whole ending isn't even there from the manga.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
Slideshows are really efficient.
Sure,
just saying.
They're efficient, but it's like you literally crammed a solid quarter of the entire series into like a 2-minute slideshow.
Yeah. Do you know how many Wikipedia articles I've copied and pasted into a PowerPoint for college presentations? Like literal library's worth and presented it in 2 minutes. So
I'm gonna
yeah, it's
call your
efficient.
universities. Just be like, revoke his grade,
Rep-
revoke his
report
fucking
them.
degree.
Report them.
God damn it. Yeah, no. Promise Neverland season 2. Just Promise Neverland the anime, worst ending
Yeah.
ever, ever. This is up there with like how bad Dexter is. If you've watched the show
Oh,
Dexter,
yeah.
that show is a literal shit pile
But
by the end.
but Dexter, was it a spinoff or was it actual second
No,
season? Or
Dexter.
no.
It recently got a new season, which I
Yeah.
also heard was very bad.
Oh, okay.
But like Dexter was bad. This is up there with How I Met Your Mother and how mad people were at How I Met Your Mother. Like this ending, literal dog shit. It rushes everything
And
so badly.
and honestly, though, we should talk about for a brief second before finishing our list that endings are the most challenging portion of a
Yes.
story. They're like
I would agree.
coming up with some conclusion and some way to draw finality to what you've written is very, very hard because depending on the length of whatever you've been creating, it results in a lot of, I guess in some situations, a lot of unanswered questions. And then if you do spend time answering all the questions, it just feels drawn out and long. Looking at you, Attack on Titan, like it is very, very, very difficult.
And I will say something controversial to that, in which I think that the ending for Darling in the Franxx is just fine. A lot of people hate the back quarter of Darling in the Franxx because, yes, and I will agree with this, it jumps a fucking shit ton of sharks. You're like, where the fuck did this come from? It is classic Studio Trigger where it's just like, we're in space now? What's going on? You're a giant robot person thing?
Yeah.
What's going on? I think Darling in the Franxx for as fucking loony as it is near the end, I think that the ending plot of just like them going into space and defeating this big bad so that everybody you've left behind on Earth can make it like can live peacefully without the interference of these people. I think that's fine. You jumped a lot of sharks there, but like to be like, hey, this is why we're doing this. Like we've introduced this and kind of shot ourselves in the foot. How do we rectify it? Cool. We'll sacrifice these characters so these characters can actually live in peace because that was the ultimate goal from the get-go. I think it's fine. I think it is just fine. But I know you said before we finish our lists, I'm just going to run through. These are endings that I know that I either enjoyed or thought were okay. There are those shows that you think are really good or just like they're fine. And they end. And you just don't remember a goddamn thing about them. And I have 4. Shingeki no Bahamut. Shingeki no Bahamut, which I think was one of our first shows we reviewed on the Baka&Co podcast. Don't remember a fucking thing about it. Don't remember how it ends. It has a definite ending. Don't remember. Kisnivers is another. I remember the premise of the show. I thought it was a great premise, and I thought the show overall was pretty darn good. Can tell you fuck all about the ending. Non-Baka, I thought was a funny show. My buddy and I were watching it at the time. Couldn't tell you nothing about the ending. And then the last one, Durarara. I love Durarara. I remember loving Durarara when it came out. I was watching it weekly. I don't remember how the fuck the show ends. I didn't even think it ended. I thought I was still waiting on another season, but apparently I'm not. It is over. It is done, and I need to rewatch it because I don't remember fuck all about the ending.
No, you don't.
So
you
yeah,
just need to watch the last 3 minutes, like we had been prior to starting the recording for all of the anime that we've gone through.
The only downside of that is Durarara is kind of like it's kind of like Bungo Stray Dogs or any other show. Basically, any other show that just throws you like 15 billion characters and you do remember them as you're watching. Then the moment you stop watching, you're like, who the fuck was this? Who the fuck was this? I only remember the girl with the cat helmet.
I mean, there are only a handful for me like that just because I legit don't remember many endings. I know kind of what happened. Because like I was thinking of a few when you were going through your list, and I'm like, do I actually know how it ended? Like Kill la Kill, I don't remember how it exactly happens, but I know relatively what transpires at the end. Like Full Metal Alchemist, the original Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood, and even Brotherhood too. I don't really remember how those two end, but I remember I was pleased with both. They ended in kind of a similar fashion-ish, and I know people are gonna blow a gasket when I say that, but I think Full Metal Alchemist ends with like Edward riding off on the train, um, after beating the fuck out of his dad, and then being like, "Yep, this is just my life now. I'm starting over," and then that's just kind of how it is. And then I think in the Brotherhood, it was like alternate dimension bullshit, kind of,
Hmm.
if I
Like
remember
the door
correctly.
dimension, like the door
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, but it was an alternate dimension where like, yeah, because I remember this
Brotherhood.
whole scene. Yeah, it was like an alternate. Yeah, it because
No,
it was.
Brotherhood. I thought they got their bodies back and everything else, and they're like living back on.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure that's how that ended. I actually just watched like an outtake of like
Then maybe what I'm
Brotherhood.
thinking of is Full Metal
It
Alchemist. Then
it could just be just
yeah,
regular FMA, but Brotherhood. No, they. I remember vaguely because it's been years again since I've watched it. That yeah, they went to the other dimension after like I think defeating all the deadly sins, the
hmm
everybody, and then they just got their body parts back. They realized they couldn't bring their back, and they lived happily ever after on the farm.
yeah. I again don't really remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's only like a few where I'm like that. Otherwise, I don't really remember what happened in the anime in general. But
yeah.
I have one that is similar to that I do care very much about, and is not a good anime. I just personally love it, but I couldn't remember fuck all what happened at the very end, and had to go back and rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, that's how it ended. I was upset, wasn't I? Which is Dagashikashi.
Which is hilarious you say this because you have a tattoo of Dagashi Kashi.
Yeah, I know. I also have a plushie of Hotaru too. Yeah, see? Yeah.
Classic.
But the problem with that one too is that I really only I think it's because my brain wants to protect it,
Hmm.
like the sanctity of the show. I really remember like season 1, cuz season 2 is not good. Season 2 is not the best by any means, and the ending in season 2 is again one of those ones where it's like open ended. We could have another season, ha ha ha, if we wanted to,
Oh,
kind of. And it just felt pretty lame compared to the first season, because the first season left off with like this big old cliffhanger of like, holy shit, is Ko actually gonna ever meet Hotaru again? Like, is this gonna happen? Like, is she giving up finally trying to get him to take over the family business? You know, or
yeah.
is he going to actually pursue being a mangaka? Like, what is going to happen? And you're like, oh my gosh, this is for a show about Japanese sweets and snacks. This got really intense at the very end. And then season 2 is all goofy. Like, I think Hotaru's brother comes from the Shindare company and is like, I'm scoping out a successor too. And it's this guy, and it's Ko's dad again. He's like, fuck off. I just want to dick around. Take my son. And then he's like, you. And he's like, no, I want to be a manga artist. And then the ending is literally just them chasing after each other. And it's just dumb Looney Tunes bullshit. And I'm like, ugh, what a weird way to end.
Do-do-do-do-do.
It, yeah, that one felt more like okay, it's over. Like could there be more? Yeah, probably. But does this feel like one of those really dumb, floofy endings that are just kind of there to act as a conclusion to it all? Unfortunately, yes. So I
Yeah.
just kind of have to deal with it.
Yep. I've got two more endings to talk about. I don't know if you have any more.
I've got one, and it makes my blood boil.
Okay. I'll go through my two. We can go through your one, and then we'll wrap up and call it a day. Mine. We reviewed this, and it was Vivi. Vivi, for all
Yes.
intents and purposes, was a pretty darn good show. And then you get
Eh.
to the very last arc. I thought it was good. I thought I mean outside of just the animation which was brilliant. I thought it was great. I was wholly invested in this robot's adventures to try and save Earth. And then the very last arc happens, and you introduce time travel, and it's not good at all. And it's just like, oh, this is a cop out. You're gonna use time travel as a cop out to end this.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, fuck. Like
Yep.
until they had actually said yes, time travel, like you're going back. I thought the show was brilliant, and then they brought that in. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, man, really? It really kind of pissed me off. And the other ending talk about is Black Lagoon, and it's not so much to say that the show was bad. I thought season 2 was a hell of a lot better than season 1, and it's just because of that. It's because season 1 was so weirdly episodic of just like kind of bouncing around doing different things, and then season 2 was like, hey, we're getting into the characters, the side characters, and giving them some fucking story and background and everything else. And then they just kind of like, cool, it's done, no more. Why? Why would you do this? Why not just keep it episodic and just end it? Instead, you're actually building something that was really fucking cool, and then just saying, poof, wipe my hands, gone, bye, done.
Because they want to hurt your feelings.
It fucking hurt my feelings.
And they want to rip your heart out.
It's just so frustrating. I just don't understand why. But yeah, those are the two shows that that I just wanted to talk about. You have your last show, good sir. What do you want? What are you gonna give to us?
This last one, it wasn't even going to be on my list until I came across it again, going through and browsing and trying to quickly watch endings to shows, and I saw it in the suggested, and I was like, God damn it, I thought I rid you from my mind, but you've crawled your way back in, you fucking god-awful anime. This is one where, and again, it's opinionated. This is not an objective statement. If you enjoy this anime, all power to you, because I don't know how you do. The ending and the entirety of the anime that makes my blood fucking boil is Devilman Crybaby. That fucking anime is so god awful. And the weird thing too is that it started off interestingly enough. It was this weird thing where, like, basically through drugs they created these creatures that they called devils, and then you get the one dude that's like can control it, who's Devilman Crybaby, because he fucking cries all the time. Which also, stupid ass name too. I know there's a source material to it and whatever, but that just dumb.
Do you know how old that source material is?
I believe it's very old. I've seen the manga for it, and it looks quite old.
Yes,
it looks like it is much older than when the anime itself came out on Netflix.
It is based off the Devilman manga, which came out in 1972.
Yeah, like it's old, and you can tell from the premise itself. Like, it's very, very basic to some degree, but the anime did this weird, like, kind of trippy, getting into your brain, make you think, becoming too big for its own shoes sort of way, where like halfway through we get to like the existence of, there's the angels, which is obviously the balancing factor to the devils. Oh, shocker. And spoilers abound for anybody who have not watched this, which honestly you probably don't care if I spoil it for you, because it is absolute trash. So please avoid it.
To be fair, there is an audience out there that absolutely stands this show and loves it. There is actually, in fact, a lot of people that love this show. This is one of those shows that there is no middle ground. It's either you absolutely love it or you hate it.
Yep.
I watched about 2 to 3 episodes. Wasn't my thing. I dropped it.
Yeah.
It wasn't, to me, I was just like, I'm not gonna, there's so many other things.
I watched it all the way through and was like, you know what? I'm already this far in. I might as well just keep going. But the way that it ends is basically, and I'm very much filling out big chunks of it, okay? I'm not giving a detailed explanation of what exactly transpires in the last few episodes, but basically the angels are coming in to invade, to cleanse everything from the devils. So the devils team up, because before they were just kind of attacking each other. The devils team up with Devilman Crybaby, who had been killing them previously, to try to rid the world of the angels. And shocker, one of the main angels is Devilman's best friend, who he just assumed was a regular human, but spoiler, was an angel. Oh. But the ending is like a weird French noir style film where like the angel's talking to Devilman and monologuing about, oh, remember when we were kids and we did this stuff, and oh, remember that time where you did this, and oh, it was so much fun. And you're like, this is a weird moment. And then it pans out and you're like, oh, Devilman's not alive. He's just the fucking top half. He's been dead this whole time. Okay, weird. And then the angel hugs him, and then the earth explodes.
Nice.
And that's how it ends.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Like, it's such an awful ending. And again, I did not enjoy this show at all. I forced myself to go through it because I thought at some point it has to get better. And it only got progressively worse.
So you hate watched it?
Yes, I very much did. And I'm going to make a bold statement. And again, for those of you who absolutely love this show, I don't care what you think. And I don't care if you think my opinion's stupid, because it's my opinion, and your opinion I feel like is dumb because you like it. So here we go. I feel like most people only like Devilman Crybaby because of the gore in it. Because there are a lot of scenes that do give you like this visceral reaction of like, what the absolute fuck. There is one scene that has stuck with me, though, that did make me go like, holy shit. And it's where his friend, who had been with him the whole time, even after she knew that he was Devilman Crybaby, was basically captured by this mob that was trying to kill him. And it kept overlapping with scenes of her like running towards him. They did a lot of this in throughout the anime too, where they would use the same scene just with different people in it and different like times that they're showing it. And there's always these slight changes and variances until the point where it gets very drastic change. Like it'll show like, an example would be like they show a field and a person running through it. Then they show the same field and there's two people running through it. And then they show the field and everything's dead and there's a grave and the person's crying over the grave. Like it's that sort of style. And there's one scene in particular where they show this same scene with people, and then like snap cuts to them like with pitchforks and her head's just on a stake. And you're like, what the fuck? Like that is, I mean, that gave me like a what the shit moment. But that scene aside, I do feel like most people only like this because of the gore and intensity is to it. The story sucks, the progression sucks, and the ending is absolutely god awful.
I was told that it's a very artsy fartsy type thing, and that's why a lot of people like it. And if you're an artsy fartsy type person, you'll probably enjoy it. But yeah,
all power to you.
There are artsy fartsy things that I do love, and there are artsy fartsy things that I hate. And this was one of those that I was just like, I'm good. I don't need to see this. A very good example of artsy fartsy that I love, The Night is Young, Walk On Girl. Phenomenal film. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's very artsy fartsy. It's great. But yeah, I'm sure, I think is just one of those that just falls into the latter category.
I'm sure people won't agree with this either. You might not even agree with this, but in my opinion, Fully Cooley is a little artsy fartsy because it's goofy as all fuck. No one knows what's happening. Even the writers don't know what's happening. It's half of the anime is just fourth wall breaking. Like it is really weird, nonsensical, just bullshit. But it works. It works. It feels like it's an actual anime that has some level of progression and balance to it. Devilman Crybaby is just legit just trying to be like, we are just too smart for you, that you can never keep we're always 10 steps ahead. You're playing checkers, we're playing 4D chess, baby. And then you're like at the ending, you're like, haha, I knew what the ending was. And the writers were like, oh yeah, did you predict this? Earth explodes.
Pow.
And you're just like, what the fuck? whatever. Bloods are
Well,
boiling.
there are a lot of bad endings out there, but you know what? We talked about earlier, it is very difficult to show well in that regard.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, there's some good endings, okay endings, a lot of stinkers, and there are a handful of shows that actually end very well. So if there is a show that we did not discuss that you think is an absolute stinker of an ending, please let us know. And thank you all for joining us this
Or
week.
if you
We
don't,
will
if you
be,
disagree with our opinions, let us know.
I,
We'll just ignore those.
we'll just read them and just be like, okay, well, whatever. But yeah, so thank you all for joining us this week. We greatly appreciate it. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. So until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.